Hi everybody, it's Oksana. Today I'm going to show you how to make this wire wrapped key pendant. So if you want to see how it's made, just keep watching. So I have 3 pieces of 20 gauge round dead soft copper wire, about 9 inches long. Then I have my weaving wire, which is also round dead soft 26 gauge. And I have a little tiny bead, about 4 or 5 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to slide the bead on and I'm going to bend it to try and find the center. So once I have the bead roughly in the center, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to bend these all the way around like this. Now I'm going to line them up with each other. Like that. Now you can set it aside, and now I'm taking my other 2 wires, I'm bending them so I know the center is right here, and I'm starting just a little bit away from the center over here, so maybe like 1.5 inches from the center. And I'm taking my weaving wire. You can weave any pattern that you want, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm putting it in between, and I'm going up and around that top wire and all the way down across both wires and up and around just the bottom wire. So again, top wire, across both, bottom wire. And this is a pattern that I do a lot in my videos, so you may be familiar with it already. Here's what it looks like before you tighten it up. You do want to keep it nice and tight though, because it can really get spread out if you're not careful. So I'm going to do that for just a little bit, just like this much. Alright, so after a little bit of weaving, what we want to do is we want to cut our weaving wire nice and long, just a nice long tail, and we're going to attach this piece here. So here's how we're going to go about it. First we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1 around both, and then 1 just around the bottom. I mean, this part doesn't really matter how you do it. It's just we're going to be attaching it with the weaving wire. You don't have to really follow any specific pattern if you don't want to. So I'm going to put this wire through here. Like that. Then I'm going to continue with my pattern. So 1, 2, 3. And then 1 around both. And then 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to tighten it up. So you just kind of have to look here at your piece and, you know, when's a good time to put your wire through and attach, like what's good spacing for you and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get my weaving wire through there. There we go. There we go. So I'm just going to do 1 to lock that longer piece in place, and then 1 around both, and then 1, 2, 3 around this wire. Basically, you're doing 3 wraps around this wire here, and then 1 wrap around both, and just every once in a while you're putting your weaving wire through here to attach. Just right through here. So that does disrupt your pattern when you do that. That's okay. Alright, so let me bend that just a little more. And tighten that up. So now I'm just going to do one and then one around both. And then 1, 2, 3. And one around both. And then 1, 2. So I'm just looking. So I'm looking to space the little points where I'm attaching evenly. That's why I'm not always counting the same number of wraps between when I go ahead and do the attaching. Because I'm seeing what visually looks even versus the actual number of wraps. You know what I mean? So there we go. Just gonna do like 1, 2 wraps maybe, and then one around both. Almost done. We're getting towards the end here. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 1 around both, and then just 1 wrap around just the bottom wire. So I'm going to tighten this up, and I'm going to attach it. I think this is going to be the last one. Let me see how I did this one here. Okay, so on this side, when I started, I was just wrapping around just this wire. And then later, once they were both, then it's going around both. So here, to finish it off, I'm going to do just around the 1 wire again to finish that off. Okay, so I did around the 1 wire, and I'm doing, so 1, 2, I'm going to do 1 around both, and that's it, we're done. It's attached. It's all good, looks relatively even. Just gonna maybe wrap. See how this has, sorry, let me wait for my camera to focus here. I'm just gonna do 4 singles. See how there's 4 right here, the singles around just this wire, so I want it to be somewhat even. It was supposed to be 3, but the 4th one was one from the previous pattern. That's why it ended up looking like 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we can do the other pattern, which is, so we already have the one around the bottom, that's our 4th one. Then 1 around the top, 1 down both. So the same exact pattern, bottom, top, both. And if you want to be real accurate about it, you can count how many of these you did on the other side. And you can do the same number, or you can measure it with a ruler, or you can eyeball it. It's totally up to you. But the goal is we're going to have the same as this over here now. And you might have to start a new wire, which is fine. I'll probably end up doing that. I'll show it to you guys on camera when I get to the point of starting a new wire, so you can see, you know, if you're not familiar, how to do that. Alright, so I'm about ready to add more wire, and I stopped at a point where my wire is just making one little loop around the bottom. So you want to stop when it's just going around 1 wire, preferably, versus when it's going over 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my new wire in here. I'm going to hold it in the back, and I'm following that same pattern, going up, over the top, and then down, over the bottom, and up over the top. So I'm just repeating it for a little bit so this wire stays in place. And once I did that, let me just kind of tighten it up here. I'm going to cut this wire that's sticking out the front as short as I can. And then this little tail as well that's on the back, I'm going to cut that. Then I'm just going to use my pliers to just pinch those down so they're not sticking out. And then I'm just going to tighten my weave up. And that is it. Now I have more wire to work with. And I'm just going to go for just a teeny bit more. What you want to start doing is shaping your key. So we're going to pick these ends up and we're going to bend them this way. And it's a good way to see also if they're even. So I'm bending it and then I'm going out with it like that. So that's going to be the top of my key, and then I want all of these wires to be just nice and lined up here. So this one is still a little bit short, so I'm just going to go a little bit longer on it. Alright, so when you're all set with that, we're going to connect this all together. So take the very top wire, move it out of the way, take the very bottom wire, move it down out of the way, so you should have 4 wires now, right here. I don't like my key to be like really thick, that's why I'm getting rid of these 2 wires. I think it looks too thick with weaving around 6. But you can do whatever you want, it's a personal choice. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking my weaving wire and I'm putting it underneath the top 2 wires. Then I'm bringing it up 1 wire, back to the front, and then down the next 2 wires. And up 1, and down 2. So now I've connected those 4 wires, so they're staying together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap 4 times around this bottom. We're not counting this anymore that we bent out of the way. Now this is my new bottom wire out of these 4 that I have. So what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So after wrapping 4 times, I'm going to go up 2, wrapping around these bottom 2 all the way around to the back, going up, bringing it underneath this wire here, down 2, little wrap around the next 2, all the way up, and a wrap around the top 2. Now I'm going back down, so I'm going around those middle 2 again, and around the bottom 2 again. So it looks like this little spike, which I think is fitting for a key, even though I guess it's more towards the end, but the key, keys have those little spikes, so to speak. So then I'm going to do 4 again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to make another one of those little spikes. So I'm going to go around those bottom 2 wires all the way around and back up the back. And then around those middle 2 wires, around the top 2 wires, and then I'm going down again. Middle 2, bottom 2, and now 4 single wraps around the very bottom wire. Now we have another little spike here. So however long you want your key to be, I don't know if you want it to be really long or a little shorter, it's all personal preference. Just go however long you like. What we're going to do here is bend these all the way up and then cut them kind of around where your bump is on your shape there. And now we're just taking our round nose pliers and making a little loop like that. And on this side as well. Ta-da! So that part is done, and I'll be back once I have my length of key. Alright, so once it's the length that you want, now it's time to finish off all of these ends. And there's so many different ways that you can do this, so many different styles of keys. There's keys with things on, both sides or just on one. It's really up to you. But what I like to do, I like to bend them all in one direction, like this. And then I am going to cut them. So the way that I'm going to cut them is I'm gonna cut, so first I'm gonna just cut them all. It's just easier for me to just cut them all at once like this. But now I'm gonna trim these side ones just a little more like that. And now I'm just gonna curl them. So let me just separate them a little more, give myself the room. I'm gonna start by curving these middle ones. And I'm just gonna go in. And then with this one, also, same thing, kind of inward. You can flip your key around if it makes things easier for you. So you can have them next to each other, or you can kind of put one on top of the other. It's really up to you. But now I'm gonna do the shorter one and put that just kind of on top. And then this one, try to grab it here, also curving that inwards, kind of lining it up with that other shorter one, like that. So if you have an iron block and a hammer, you can just kind of lightly hammer it. If not, you could just take some pliers and just kind of press it just to kind of flatten these nicely. There we go. Make sure that everything's flat, nothing's sticking up. So all that's left is to attach a jump ring so you can, hang this on a necklace, except I totally forgot when I was doing this top part, I meant to leave like just a little bit of room so I could put a jump ring through there. And of course I didn't do that. So what I'm gonna do is take this needle, just a metal needle. I got it in the kit for working with polymer clay. I'm just putting it right here, just right kind of at the center top, trying to push that little wire out. And now we have, can you see that? Now we have a little hole. So you can put a little jump ring through there, so you can hang it up on a necklace. You can either make your own jump ring, or you can use a pre-made one. I'm just gonna make my own. I'm just taking some 18 gauge wire, and I'm taking my round nose pliers, and I am wrapping it around, wrapping the 18 gauge wire around the widest part of my round nose pliers. So then you get something like this, and then I'm just gonna cut it right here, and that's my jump ring. It would be a good idea to hammer this just to make it nice and strong. So then you would just open up the jump ring, put it through that little hole, and just close it back up. Now you can put your necklace through it so that this can be worn. And that is it. That is how you make this little key pendant. And of course you can oxidize it if it's raw copper like mine is. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.